Hey, how's it going? Today we're going to play some games with the new Greninja EX card. Greninja is a Stage 2 fighting Pokemon with the attack Shinobi Blade for 1 water. It does 170 damage, you can search your deck for any card, and for water double colorless, you discard 2 energy from this Pokemon, the attack does 120 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. So, this card's really good. You got Bench Snipe, an efficient attack that 2-shots everything, and an ability to search your deck for anything. Pretty awesome. We're pairing it with the Froslass. Froslass has an ability that in between turns, for each Froslass in play, you put 1 damage counter on each Pokemon in play with an ability, both yours and your opponent's. So this can build up damage to be able to knock out Pokemon with Greninja's first attack, or it can just build up damage and knock out Manaphy's, and then we can snipe the bench. It can build up damage so we can take 4 prizes with the snipe in 1 turn. It's really cool. I decided to go for the Unfair Stamp A-Spec, which says if any of our Pokemon were knocked out last turn, each player shuffles their hand into their deck, we draw 5, our opponent draws 2. There's also a Canceling Cologne in here, so we can pull that out of the deck with our attack, or just set up for a turn where we Canceling Cologne the Manaphy, knock out our opponent's bench Pokemon that they're trying to set up. 1 TM Evo, 1 TM Devo. I think you could definitely cut the TM Evo. I played quite a few games with this and I never got to use it. TM Devo is very good though. I would definitely keep that. We have a Collapsed Stadium and a Turo to clean up our bench because we're going to put Rotom in play and damage is going to start building up on our Rotom with our own ability. So we're going to want to get that out of play at some point. We also have Manaphy just because you kind of need it for any deck that can use Radiant Greninja turn 2. You're an evolving deck, you just need to have Manaphy. And the reason there's not 4 Iridas because Greninja is a fighting type, so we can't grab Rare Candy Greninja, but it's still really good to get Rare Candy or Ultra Ball and Frostlass. It's very nice. And yeah, the rest of it's just trying to make the deck work, and let's get into the games. Alright, our first game, we opted to go first. You definitely want to go first with this deck. And hopefully there's not fireworks in the back picking up in my mic because, Memorial Day weekend, people are setting off fireworks. But I'm struggling here with if I should attach the energy because I can't 2-shot a Dragapult with the first attack if I have a double turbo on my guy. But being able to threaten turn 2 Mirage Barrage, that's a funny attack name, is just so strong. I opt to attack it. I can also set up another Greninja for the next turn so that I can hit the first one for 150 with the double turboed Greninja and then finish off the Dragapult with another Greninja EX with just a water on it. And this is the Charizard version, it looks like. See, they're forced to Nest Ball for the Manaphy with that, which is just really good because now they could have gotten another Charmander, another Dreepy, really anything. And I go to Buddy Poffin just to realize I prized 2 of my 70 HP Froakies, which really sucks. And with the way that this hand is, I'm probably not attacking this turn unless I Iono into the absolute nuts, but I don't. So that's what Rotom's good for, so I just draw 3. And now we're looking pretty good. I can get out a Frostlass, Rare Candy with Irida next turn, and really use whatever attack I want. If things go perfectly, I could boss Canceling Cologne if I top deck a Rare Candy or the Canceling Cologne. But they evolve, the active it looks like, and they have a fire on the bench, which they attached that last turn, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, they're looking for a Psychic because they can only accelerate energy with Charizard, so they want to have the Psychic be their hand attachment. But they do attach a fire to the active, which means we're not getting hit with the crazy Dragapult attack this turn, and I definitely welcome that. They're just knocking out the Manaphy. I did not want that in play anyway. It was going to be a free prize for my opponent at some point. So I'm happy to see that go. I top deck Ultra Ball, which is actually very nice because now I can evolve into a Frogadier and not have a 60 HP Froakie sitting on my bench, which would be unfortunate. So I can evolve into Frogadier, evolve into a Frostlass. I can get Candy Frostlass off my Irida. I could also Force Seal Stone for Unfair Stamp here, which I don't know, in hindsight, that might have been a really good play. Actually, I think that might be prize too. Either way, see, now we have 2 different Greninjas that are threatening the 120 snipe attack, or 100 snipe. The I'll kind of explain that more in the second game, but it should only snipe for 100. Now I can pick any card out of my deck, and I go for the Canceling Cologne because I have Boss in hand. I can bring up that Manaphy and Canceling Cologne and either snipe both their Charmanders, or if the Drag Cloak doesn't evolve, I can snipe that in the Dreepy and remove all their draw power, which would be pretty nice. And it looks like they're probably going to get another, Drag Cloak. That draw ability is like very nice for them, and it looks like they're struggling for cards, so they're definitely going to want that. I'm also going to have to retreat this Greninja next turn and attack with a benched one, so I really need to get myself into another Candy Greninja. But I get Iono. They remove my Wombo combo from hand, but they replace it with a hand that has Candy Greninja, so I'm kind of fine with that. And I'd really like to pull a Froakie off my prizes, because this is kind of a scary matchup to not have at least 3 Froakie in the deck, because they can so easily wipe my board. Like, they can throw 6 on this benched Frogadier. Oh no, they can't. I forgot they weren't doing that attack job. But if they were, they could put 6 on the Frogadier and TM Devo both my Greninjas next turn, which would suck. And of course I didn't need Rare Candy because it's a Frogadier. I'm losing it. So now I can Arven. I'm just debating what to get. It's probably going to be like Ultra Ball and Rescue Board, so I don't have to retreat off the energy. And I can Ultra Ball for another Froslass, start putting more pressure on the Manaphy and the Drag Cloaks, because I really kind of want those gone. That's going to be like 3 of my prizes right there. And then I can just, like, I don't know, Greninja snipe at some point after I finish 2-shotting this. Because if they don't recover Manaphy on the turn that I knock it out, I can use the snipe attack. And I put the extra water on there just so I'm threatening the snipe with both of my Pokemon. And I'm not really too sure what I want to search with this hand. It's kind of weird, or with this attack. So I just go for Arven, because I can get 4 Seal Stone with it, and whatever item I want. Take 2 prizes. Luckily, I do get a Froakie, and the Unfair Stamp was prized. So whenever they knock out one of my Greninjas, I can stamp them, and I'm hoping to get it to a point where I get rid of both these Dracloaks before I use the stamp, and then there's like pretty decent odds of them bricking. That card really is pretty strong. It does feel like a waste sometimes when your opponent draws out of it, but in this deck specifically, I've found it very nice just as the extra draw support, because it plays so many tutor cards that your hand ends up getting low. So being able to just refresh your hand with an item has been pretty clutch. But my opponent's taking like a really long turn right here. They start doing that in this game. I don't know what's going on, if they're like what they're thinking about. They hit me with the enhanced hammer. It's kind of annoying. Or it could just be like the input lag of like the server communicating between me and my opponent. Because I don't know, I've just seen scenarios where like your opponent's playing faster, and then it's taking like 30 seconds for the action to happen on my screen. But I don't know, at this point, just got to be happy to even be playing on PTCG Live the way it's been working lately. But they use the Super they're gonna Buddy Poffin probably for another Dreepy. So I think these lists only play like a 202 Charizard line. And now he can accelerate the fire and does opt to just set up the Charizard and hit me for 290. Now, I wonder if he did the math wrong, or if he was thinking I can just really easily knock out this Greninja with a Dragapult attack if I'm able to boss, and like set up some damage somewhere else. But my timer starts going right away that turn. That was kind of weird. I thought that seemed kind of fast in game, and watching it back, that was pretty fast. This is 2 times speed, and I don't know, this deck feels like if you select a wrong card, or like a completely wrong card off of your attack, or just an Arven or something, that you get super punished for it. Because there was one of the first games I played with this was against Raging Bull, and I just figured, oh, that matchup's like unwinnable. And I think if I had done things different in the first game that I played, I could have probably walked away with that matchup as a win. But I didn't, because it was the first game I played with the deck, and didn't know some of the nuances with it. And I think I'm just going to go for a candy here off of this. It makes sense. I can candy the Greninja, attach the forest, unfair stamp, and basically do whatever I want. I get the TM Devo off the prizes though, which is super cool because I can Devo and take 3 prizes next turn as long as they don't exactly knock out one of my Froslasses. That's pretty much like the only thing that would stop that. If they knock out one of the Froslasses, I can't do that, but if they don't, I'm pretty much winning guaranteed next turn. And I can also snipe for game if they don't get the Manaphy back. I can knock out this Charizard and the bench, whichever bench Pokemon I choose. I just have to, the Charizard has to be in the active, which I would presume that they're just not gonna attack with it in the active unless they get the Manaphy back down, because that's just giving me game. Because with the Terra ability, of course, it can't be sniped on the bench. Which is something interesting about Greninja, has that same Terra attribute, so like the mirror matches aren't just like setting up damage and sniping each other. It's probably just whoever like starts the 2-shot war or something. But yeah, this Greninja deck is definitely quite a bit better than I thought it was when I was just like kind of thinking about it and theorying it in my head. It's really cool, and the Froslass definitely adds like an extra dimension to it that I really like, and I think it's a lot of fun. Alright, they evolve both their guys, which makes sense. They put a Luminion down, and at first I was like, oh, they're just gonna Iono me, but they're gonna boss. I didn't think that they saw the TM Devo Froslass for game. I thought they'd Iono, and then I figured I had pretty good odds to hit like an Arven or something to get the Devo. But they're taking quite a while to play the boss. I'm guessing they're like debating between knocking out the Rotom and playing the boss, and knocking out the Rotom and my Greninja, or knocking out my bench Greninja or hitting into my bench Greninja and doing damage to the other one. But they knock out my Froslass, which is kind of disappointing because I think that's a really cool play. As long as the interaction works right on live, which I assume it does, because you're attacking and devolving, so it shouldn't even like check for the Froslass ability until the Pokemon are already in the person's hand and the ability Pokemon are in play again. But I promote the guy with the escape board, and now I can just play down my hand to 0 and, you know, unfair stamp and hope that I hit a double turbo or a boss or a counter catcher. So I have quite a few outs. I don't know why I'm debating attaching that. I have to just attach it. I can't attach the water because I need to get the double turbo. And I can just play the unfair stamp any moment now. I'm always like second guessing everything. And I get the double turbo, so now I can just Star Alchemy for boss or counter catcher. And I decided to grab the counter catcher just because in case I played a supporter or something. I don't know. I second guess everything like I said. And I can bring up the Charizard. And just to note, even if the attack worked right and it only did 100 damage with the attack like it should, the Charizard would still get knocked out in between turns by the Froslass, so I would still take the 3 prizes. But let's get on to the next game. Alright, this is not the Raging Bolt matchup that I was talking about or in the other game. This is another one. There's been a lot of them on the ladder lately. But I just get down my Froakies and instant charge. Not a bad start. I would like to have gotten down some Snowrunts, but I really, like, you kind of need 3 Froakies down. They knock out your Greninjas so easily. There's good odds that he knocks out my Froakie this turn, and I want to have the option to evolve into a Frogadier if I can. So it looks like they're off to a pretty decent start. They get the Sada, so they're definitely going to get the knockout. This deck just puts on so much pressure, it's kind of crazy, and it is a really hard matchup, but with the Froslasses, you can set up for like bonus prize turns and stuff. And that's why I ended up adding the Vacuum to the deck, just as a way to get rid of this Bravery Charm so that you can hit it with the first attack and then snipe like the active and the bench, one of the bench Ogerpons, and set up the Ogerpon to be passively knocked out and also knock out the Raging Bolt. And I do Ultra Ball for a Frogadier because it's going to be kind of a pain to get Rare Candy and Greninja with this hand. And I can just hit for 170 and probably grab like Iono or Unfair Stamp maybe. And then I would leave myself the option for either or on the other side. Or I could grab Irida I don't know. I kind of like Unfair Stamp here. So they're probably going to knock me out, and if they don't knock me out, I don't need another Greninja, so it's fine. I'm taking a long time with this because I think that this matchup is like, you really kind of have to play it perfect from the Greninja side, or else you're going to get super, like, bodied. But I was just, like, reading the attacks, because at this point, I thought that it should do 120, because I was thinking that you're removing the energy before it checks for like effects of everything, but the way that it works, unless it specifically says so, to check for the to discard like the energy before calculating damage on the Greninja, it checks the damage and calculates the damage, and then you do the effects of the attack after the damage is already resolved. So it would check, see that the double turbo's there, it's 100 damage, you do the damage, and then discard the double turbo. But it looks like just the way they have it programmed online is that you discard the double turbo first, so then the computer's like, oh, well, it's already gone, so it does 120. But I do get the Ultra Ball, or Arven for Ultra Ball, so that I can save my forest for later, which is really nice to have, and I'm really hoping that they whiff an attack this turn, because that would relieve a lot of the pressure of getting knocked out every turn. And I forget what I was debating. I wanted to forest for Collapsed and fill my bench, but I didn't have enough Pokemon in my deck. I wanted to get down another Froakie, but I couldn't do that, so, you know, we're here now. I got the Rare Candy, so I can just grab Greninja with the Force Seal Stone next turn and keep on attacking at least. And like I said, I did do the snipe attack. I didn't know that's how it worked, but I should have just attacked into the guy for 170, pulled a card out of my deck. It wouldn't have changed the result of the game at all. My opponent benched another Ogerpon that looks like that the Unfair Stamp did not do much to them. In my experience playing this Raging Bolt Ogerpon deck though, the Unfair Stamps, you draw out of them a lot. There's just so many consistency cards in this deck. But I do get a free turn, so that's very nice. Love to see that. I can grab another Frostlass to knock out this Ogerpon in between turns, and I'm not really sure which item I should grab. Just looking through, I don't think it matters. I can get the Counter Catcher for next turn, because if they knock me out, I doubt this deck plays Hand Disruption. I can set it up so that I have Counter Catcher to knock out the benched Ogerpon next turn for my last prize. And I wrote them because I have to get Super Rod to put the Greninja back into my deck, because I prize my third Greninja and I can't risk not getting it off the prizes. And I was thinking about putting the water in the deck, but I really don't need to do that. It's just going to clutter up my deck. I don't need the energy. I want to increase the chances that I don't top deck water next turn in case something that I don't expect happens. But what I figure is going to happen is they're just going to knock me out, and then I'm going to promote my Froakie, evolve it, and counter catch the other Ogerpon and win. But they already basically have enough energy in play to knock me out this turn, and they have a Vessel, so looks like I'm definitely getting knocked out. And unless they play a Roxanne, I should be good to win this game, which is kind of shocking. I guess like you kind of need them to whiff a turn with the Unfair Stamp, but I do think that there's stuff that you could do with the snipe attack and setting up 2 Frostlasses to just like knock out 2 of their Ogerpons at once with the snipe attack maybe. I don't know, because I played one of the games really bad and almost beat them. But they're going to accelerate again. It almost seems like they are playing a Roxanne, because it seems like they're digging for something. Or no, an Unfair Stamp I meant, because it seemed like they were digging for something there after they played the Sada still, but they're just going to knock me out, and I can just promote my guy and win this game, which is kind of surprising. I wasn't really expecting to win this matchup when I started playing this deck. I figured it was like completely an auto loss, and that's what's kind of making me think maybe there is something to this Greninja deck, which would be really cool, because these cards like this are a lot of fun where, you know, you tutor cards out of your deck, you got snipe attacks. But all that being said, I think it's in a weird spot in the meta, because you are probably pretty unfavored to Dragapult and Raging Bolt. The Raging Bolt matchup I still want to work on. You could try the Radiant Serena for the Dragapult matchup. I did see someone playing that and you're probably flavored into Blissey. Chi-Pao is probably also a bad matchup unless you can just... Actually, that might not be as bad as I think because you can snipe both of the Baxcaliburs in one turn and they wouldn't play Manaphy. I also think it's kind of similar with Lugia. It just all depends on how fast you get the Froslasses set up and how quick you're able to snipe and knock out their important ability Pokemon. So there's definitely more matchup specific testing required to truly know if this deck can actually be like a tier 1 or high tier 2 deck. I definitely have more hopes for it than I did going into it. It's a really cool deck. It's a lot of fun at the bare minimum, but it could definitely have some potential to be good. That's my favorite part about new formats, is you really never know what is truly going to be good, but we'll end up finding out at NAIC. So hope you enjoyed and have a good one.